The War Canoes are unique. There's no other camp in the world, no other organization in the world that has anything close to these War Canoes.
They're the largest single wood canvas canoes in the world. They're 42 feet long, they're just under 6 feet wide, and they can have up to 30 paddlers.
When alumni get together, they oftentimes talk about their experiences at camp in the canoes themselves. And the majesty of these two canoes on a lake, and people look at them and are just in awe that so many people can fit into one canoe and that they're propelled by people, not a motor or anything like that. It's a wonderful sight when you see them from a distance.
I feel like I grew up with those boats. Every season there would be some silly challenge where the younger kids would challenge older kids to a race.
It's a beautiful day at Camp Amick, but something's afoot. The Pioneers have challenged the Tuskies to a war canoe race, and the boys think they'll win. Just look at those muscles. But here come the girls. Let's see who wins. Go! They're both pulling pretty hard. Look at those boys paddle. Way to go, boys. But where are the girls? There they are. Uh-oh, better catch up, boys. This is no time for lily dipping. What's this? Someone lost a paddle. That's not good for the boys. And the girls win it. They wanted it more. The crowd goes wild. Well, better luck next time, boys.
Apart from them being the single largest war canoes in the world, which makes them an amazing heritage craft, they're also used day to day as workhorses for the camp.
They're constantly on the water and transporting girls primarily.
The girls' camps are on islands, so it gets girls to and from for meals, and that means they're heavily used day to day, but it also brings the girls over to the mainland for different camp activities.
We're going to Amick for a dance!
And during the first days of camp, obviously there's a large group of people who are coming in, and the girls actually take the war canoes from the end of the lake at the portage store where their parents drop them off and paddle them up to Wapomeo. It's always a sight for the parents to see these two canoes being paddled to Camp Wapomeo.
The war canoes were built in 1925, delivered here in 1926 by train.
The chief, who was the director of the Taylor-Statten camps in the 20s, decided that he wanted a set of war canoes for Camp Amick and Camp Wapomeo. So he went to the Peterborough Canoe Company and asked them if they could produce these canoes.
They're the largest wood canvas canoes in the world, and how that came to be was the standard large size canoe dating back to the fur trade era was a 36-foot canoe. Then what happened was the chief in 1925 asked for a larger boat. So they took the mold of 36 feet, cut it in half, added to it to make a 42-foot canoe. And then they put the mold back together at 36, and nobody's ever requested a boat larger than that again. So the last time the war canoes were repaired was a recanvassing in 1979.
They are old looking when you look at them from the inside. They've had many years of dirt and dust and so on that have accumulated, and they get cleaned up every year, but you can tell that they're starting to age. They're starting to leak significantly, and so they have to be bailed out constantly. And you know, we don't want to lose these relics. They're beautiful, and they need some good maintenance at this point.
The current process for storing and maintaining the canoes is a pretty basic one. They're too big, so they go in the dining hall. Now the dining hall gets cold in the winter, so the work that goes on them can only be in that short window of the warmer seasons.
Well, right now what we do is during September camp we pull them into the dining hall with the September campers. It's basically as many people as you can get around the outside of the canoes. That's how many people it takes to lift them. We put them in the dining hall and then we just let them sit and try and dry out as much as they can. And then in the spring, myself or David Statten or anyone else who can help us, we go over them and try and patch the canvas as best we can.
They get painted and varnished as they need to be, so they look spiffy every new season, but they haven't had that serious work to take off the canvas again. So they've been lovingly attended to as best one can under the circumstances of cold rooms and not having the space.
The fundraising was brought up by a number of people, but Bob Henderson primarily.
Yeah, the plan for the War Canoes is to build a structure that will be a little bit larger than 42 feet so that the boats can be refurbished.
We need to extend a facility that we already have to accommodate the War Canoes and to insulate that so they can use that facility in the winter time.
From back there to this end, we insulated and just made this, I call it the varnish room now. But Leon, when he was framing in the end here, he made it so that's easy to take apart, and so we can just keep going and extending on it. As long as you've got a warm environment to work in, then it just keeps going. Let's give ourselves a year from fall till fall. Like we'll pull it in the fall with September camp and then pull it out the next fall.
And one of the things that's fantastic about the camp and the boats, they've really only seen the hands of a very few, and it's some of that same crew will be involved in the work that will go on in the next few years.
And then once the War Canoes are done and out of there, I'm hoping to make that shop into a great space for like a senior craft shop where they can make wanigans and paddles, where people can learn about canoe work and all kinds of woodworking. We want to build all sorts of different stuff.
There's that quality of when you get in one of those really big canoes, you are part of something in canoe heritage. With a team paddling a big canoe, it is a big part of how this country was opened up. It really is a special thing to experience.